Hi, I am Annie Mazes and I handle library marketing for all of the adult titles at Workman Publishing. We have about 10 imprints with their own specialties, so that covers a host of topics, and there is a book for every reader. Impersonation is great for book clubs. This is for fans of Mrs. Fletcher or The Female Persuasion. Acclaimed writer Heidi Pittler tells a very timely story about motherhood, class, and ambition. It got a starred Kirkus Review. His Only Wife is a personal recent fave. Such praise for this book. It's charming, it's smart, it's for fans of Chimamanda Adichie or Candace Carty-Williams. Kirk has a starred review called It Crazy Rich Asians for West Africa. How to Astronaut follows Terry Virts' journey from astronaut training to commander of the International Space Station. It's all the behind-the-scenes questions that you didn't even know to ask about being an astronaut. Love Zach. Zach Easter was a young man. He was 24 and he decided to take his life rather than continue fighting the losing battle against the traumatic brain injuries he had sustained while playing no-holds-barred football throughout his whole life. This is an eye-opening, important, and ultimately inspiring book by award-winning sports writer Reed Forgrave, who takes a deep dive into the sports entertainment industry. Story's curious compendium of practical and obscure skills is amazing and fascinating. Booklist gave it a starred review. It is a rich resource that will help educate, fascinate, spark conversation, and inspire new hobbies and experiences. As the World Burns is by award-winning investigative journalist Lee Vandervoo. She reports on Juliana versus the United States, which is one of the most critical lawsuits of our time. 21 young people from across America sued the federal government over climate change. So this breaks down climate change and through the eyes of young people. And the House is a body. Dreams collide with reality, modernity with antiquity, and myth with identity in these 12 incredible stories. This book has been on several most anticipated books of 2020 list. Continuing on, these titles I talk about going forward are all books that are going to be coming out very soon through March. Just key titles that I'm really excited about, starting with Down Along with That Devil's Bone by Connor Town O'Neill. Connor first moved to Alabama as a white northerner, and he felt somewhat removed from the racism that Confederate monuments represented. As he witnessed people's responses to their removal, though, and the battle over their removal, it became clear that he played a part because white supremacy is not a regional affliction. It is something that is ingrained in the DNA of America and our history. So, through the lens of the conflict surrounding the removal of Nathan Bedford Forrest statues, he was the first Grand Wizard of the KKK. Connor really delves into the legacy of white supremacy. This is for readers of Tony Horowitz or Robin DiAngelo. Kirkus gave it a starred review, and Kisa Leamone, author of Heavy, said that we can no longer see ourselves as minor spectators or weary watchers of history after finishing this astonishing work of nonfiction. The Midnight Bargain is such a fun read. I'm very excited about this book. Beatrice Claiborne is a sorceress. She practices magic in secret, terrified of the day that she will be locked into magic. When women get married, they are literally collared so their magic doesn't harm their unborn children, and only men are allowed to practice magic. But she dreams of becoming a full-fledged magician, sorceress. This is her lifelong goal, and through her skill and luck, she finds a way forward that she's able to do this because she needs to get married because her family is in a lot of debt and she needs an advantageous marriage in order to help them survive. But because she's very talented and she has a little bit of luck, she figures out a way forward so she can practice magic, not get married, help her family. However, to do this, she needs to enter into this bargain. And she meets this man in doing so, and he's wonderful. He supports her. He thinks she's incredible and talented and wants her to be a magician, wants her to thrive and appreciates her strength. But if she decides to forego being a magician and marry him, she's going to give up her lifelong dreams and goals. And if she continues down that path, she will give up this great love. So either way, she's forfeiting something. So which does she choose, knowing that she will regret losing something? We Saw Scenery is perfect for fans of Roz Chast, Ali Brosh, and Linda Berry. It is by superstar, Emmy Award-winning comedian Meryl Marco, and it is her growing up stories. She takes her diaries from when she was a teenager and takes readers back through time to when she was a Girl Scout, to these crushes that she had on uniquely awful boys, to her burgeoning love of television. And she charts the divide between her adolescent and her adult self, and she questions and teases her younger self, really revealing how much is opaque to us when we are that age. The Good Ancestor. The most important question we can ask ourselves is, are we being good ancestors? Jonas Salk posited this question. He cured polio in 1953, but he never patented it, so he didn't make any money off of the millions of lives that he saved. And his radical thinking of what we owe to future generations should be inspiring. It's an amazing approach, but it hasn't really caught on. So in this book, philosopher and best-selling author Roman Krznaric explains 6 practical ways that we can retrain our brains to save the future. His aim is to shift our allegiance from the here and now to all humanity, present and future. The New Rules of Aging Well is by Frank Lipman, a leader in wellness and integrative and functional medicine. It contains everything he teaches his patients about reversing the so-called symptoms of aging. Symptoms like feeling lousy and looking puffy are not necessarily a given and not always something to do with your genes. A lot of it has to do with your lifestyle. So here you'll learn how to make the best choices in order to feel and look younger and better all around. Paper Bullets is, I love this book. It is so fascinating. It is so well researched. And it tells something, a little known part of World War II history. It focuses on these 2 incredibly brave and creative women, Lucy Schwab and Suzanne Malherbe. They were artists living in Paris. They moved to the Jersey Island in the British Channel. During World War II, the island was invaded by the Nazis, and they did what they were able to do to rebel. So they planted these paper bullets in cars, in the newspapers, sometimes on the soldiers' outfits. And these paper bullets were calls to rebel, wicked insults against Hitler, subversive fictional dialogue, anything that could really mess with the soldiers' minds, and subvert and demoralize these Nazi troops. They were captured. They were sentenced to death in 1944, but they were able to survive. And they continued creating their art. So if you Google them today or look them up today, under their artist names of Claude Calhoun and Marcel Moore, you can see all this incredible gender-bending art that they created over the course of their lives. So this is for readers of Jewish history, LGBTQ history, World War II history, political resistance, art. There's so much in this book. It has gotten a Kirkus review. It's praised by Douglas, Brinkley, and Hampton Sides, 2 incredibly well-known historians. So much to read in this book. I love it. Wake Up Grateful is by Christy Nelson, the executive director of a network for grateful living, and she unlocks the path to recognizing abundance in every moment, which might be a bit more challenging now, but maybe never more necessary. Questions for reflection, daily exercises, and perspective prompts for appreciating the fullness of life. This book promises change through the practice of taking nothing for granted. Big Girl, Small Town. Meet Magella O'Neill. She's a heroine like no other. This is an incredibly captivating Irish debut novel that has been called The Milkman Meets Dairy Girls. Highly recommend watching that on Netflix if you haven't. Magella is happiest out of the spotlight. She works in a little chip shop. She goes home to her bed. She has a very small life in a very small town where so many people have been affected by the troubles between Protestants and Catholics. She doesn't know where her father is, and she lives with her grandmother, who she adores. But then one day her grandmother passes away and her entire world is upended. And she starts to realize that maybe the world is a bit bigger than what she began to think. This is for fans of Sally Rooney or Atasha Meshbeg. How to sleep. Sleep difficulties affect millions of people. And this book addresses what to do about that. So what sets this book apart is that Dr. Palayo has spent over 25 years as both a clinical professor and a practicing sleep physician. So he has the practical and the theoretical knowledge. His approach is to first teach readers how sleep works. He explains that nobody sleeps through the night, that the need for sleep is biological, but the way we sleep can be learned, how much sleep you actually need, that you can't get by with less. And then once readers understand what sleep is and why it's so essential, then he offers a path to better sleep. It's a very flexible approach and it will work for anyone. On Fragile Waves, Firuza and her brother are children of fire born in Afghanistan that is fractured by war. When their parents decide to leave, they spin these fairy tales of their destination, this incredible land of opportunity, Australia. So the family journeys from Pakistan to Indonesia to Nauru, heading towards this incredible hope of home. They rely on fragile and temporary shelters, strangers who are both kind and not. And when they finally arrive in Australia with all these hopes and dreams, what seems like stable shore gives way to a world that is anything but. Neighbors and classmates and the government, no one cares about their existence. They don't care how they go on. And throughout all of this experience, Firuza has had this incredible, rich fantasy world in her head. So that is where the incredible magical realism comes into this book. But she realizes that her world is fracturing and her family is splintering apart, and she needs to surface from her fantasy world in order to find a way forward. This book is incredibly beautifully literary. The writing is amazing, even though it is fantastical at points. Friendshipping. We exist in an age of loneliness and ghosting and toxic relationships, and making and keeping friends is anything but simple. Jen Bain and Trin Garitano know this better than anyone. Their podcast, Friendshipping, gets 30,000 downloads a month because their listeners are craving guidance along with entertainment. They're quite funny. Now they've distilled the lessons and wit that they have learned and have spread the message about into this essential book for anyone who feels a little bit friendless or is trying to navigate the very challenging world of grown-up friendships. In Case You Get Hit by a Bus is a book that I am a huge evangelist for. It does require me to talk about mortality for a moment, so please bear with me there. It is a simple, easy to follow program for organizing everything in your life by the founders of Everplans. Everplans is a digital company that helps people organize their lives, but you don't need to do anything with the website. Everything you need is in this book. And it's provided me such peace of mind. All of my passwords are in one place. My husband knows where they are. We have plans for our will and for, life insurance and what happens, if anything happens to us. And my daughter's only 2.5, but hopefully she won't need this for a long time. But if she does, all the questions are answered and we're not leaving behind grieving family members and a whole lot of unknowns. So I found this book to be incredibly helpful. I think it could work for anybody. It's not for people of any sort of age. It's for anyone who has possessions and people in their lives who will be affected by you no longer being there. So that is my spiel on mortality. Thank you. The Fortunate Ones is a novel by Ed Tarkington, who is the author of Only Love Can Break Your Heart. When Charlie Boykin was young, he thought his life with his single mother was really just fine. But when his mother's connections get him into a very elite boarding school and give him access to the upper echelons of Nashville society, Charlie falls under the spell of all that a life among the wealthy can mean. He develops a friendship with Arch Cray. Charlie learns how morality has little to do with life in his community among the wealthy. On into college, and after, Charlie aids Arch in his pursuit of a Senate seat, only to be pulled into this incredibly growing web of deceit. This novel examines the questions of why do the poor love the rich? Why do we envy and worship a class of people that so often exhibit the worst excesses and the lowest morals? This will be for fans of Ann Patch's Commonwealth and Kevin Wilson's Nothing to See Here, and it is an engrossing story of class, love, and loyalty. At the Edge of the Hate is the winner of the 2019 Penn Bellwether Prize for Socially Engaged Fiction. Maddie Del Nato is homeless at 20, but she has made a family of sorts for herself in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. She knows whom to trust, how to eat, when to move, how to take care of her dog. And then one night she unwittingly witnesses the murder of a homeless boy, and the perpetrator sees her, and her entire life is upended. The police want to talk to her. The boy's parents find her and have all these questions about what happened, trying to make sense of their son's death. And everyone's encouraging her to go home. It can't possibly be better being homeless when a murderer knows who you are. But what happens when going home is not the answer? That's not an option for Maddie. This book is set against the backdrop of San Francisco, which has been a historically very tolerant city, but is rapidly changing with gentrification. And author Hilary Jordan says, this book pulled me deep into a world I knew little about, bringing the struggles of its young homeless inhabitants, the kind of people we avoid eye contact with on the street, to vivid, poignant life. Made in China. In 2012, a woman in Oregon got much more than she bargained for when she opened the cheap Halloween decorations she'd purchased at Kmart, and out popped an SOS letter handwritten in broken English by the prisoner who'd made and packaged the items. In Made in China, investigative journalist Amelia Pang pulls back the curtain on the labor camps that create the home goods that we purchase. This book follows the life of Sun Yi, the Chinese engineer who wrote the note after finding himself a political prisoner locked in a gulag for joining a forbidden meditation practice and campaigning for the freedom to do so. In chasing the story, Amelia has conducted extensive interviews with Sun Yi and the people who knew him. She's identified and interviewed others who endured similar horrors and who inflicted them. She traveled to China to follow falsified supply chains, tracking trucks from labor camps to warehouses. And the story that she uncovers is an incredible call to action, encouraging American consumers to ask more questions and demand more answers from the companies that we patronize. Let's Get Back to the Party is a debut novel. Sebastian Motte and Oscar Burnham are 30-somethings who came of age after the AIDS crisis, but before the current era where they might have had a comfort of an out adolescence. Sebastian is very straight-laced. He's a suburban high school teacher, mourning the end of a long-term relationship, and he finds his very orderly lifestyle completely threatened by the appearance of Arthur Ayer, a gay student so comfortable in his own skin that Sebastian finds himself dangerously obsessed with the teenager. Oscar, furious and defiant in the face of what he sees as the death of queer culture, begins a very confusing relationship with once eminent novelist Sean Stokes, known for graphic stories of pre-AIDS hedonism. Alternating chapters from Sebastian and Oscar's points of view, this debut novel recounts their mirrored struggles with generational envy, cultural identity, the traumas of history, and is an intimate and complex look at gay life. As a volcanologist, natural hazards expert, and founder of Blueprint Earth, Jess Phoenix is incredibly boss and has dedicated her life to scientific exploration. Her career path, hard-earned in the still male-dominated world of science, has shoved her headlong into deep-sea submersibles, congressional races, glittering cocktail parties at Manhattan's elite Explorers Club, and numerous pairs of Caterpillar work boots. It has also inspired her to devote her life to making science more inclusive and accessible. Ms. Adventure skillfully blends personal memoir, daring adventure, scientific exploration, and girl power, following Phoenix's journey from jungles to glaciers, university classrooms to the television studios, and even to the side of the world's largest volcano, where she fixes a tire with a ballpoint pen, bubblegum, and duct tape. Readers will delight in her unbelievable adventures, all embarked on for the love of science. I am beyond excited for Liberty. Caitlin Greenidge wrote We Love You, Charlie Freeman, which was a book that I loved. Also, What Is This Jacket is stunning. This is a coming-of-age story of freeborn Black girl in Reconstruction-era Brooklyn, Liberty Sampson. She was all too aware that her purposeful mother, a practicing physician, had a vision for their future together. Liberty would go to medical school and practice alongside her. But Liberty, drawn more to music than science, feels stifled by her mother's choices and is hungry for something else. And she's constantly reminded that unlike her mother, who can pass, Liberty has skin that is too dark. When a young man from Haiti proposes to Liberty and promises she will be his equal on the island, she accepts, only to discover that she is still subordinate to him and all men. As she tries to parse what freedom actually means for a Black woman, Liberty struggles with where she might find it for herself and for generations to come. please read this book. It is incredible. The writing is amazing. The story is amazing. It's true. And look at that quote from Mira Jacob, author of Good Talk. This is just going to be such an incredible book. Perfect for book clubs. Perfect for anyone. And cookbooks for something completely different. A Field Guide to Cheese is a delight. It is 400 realistic illustrations of every cheese you could have ever imagined in the whole wide world. It has maps of their production, guides for perfect pairings. It's just a delight. Give Me Liberty and Give Me a Drink is so much fun. It's a cocktail book complete with a tour of America's most bizarre booze laws, 65 recipes, 65 laws representing every state in the nation, written by the nation's foremost alcohol reform expert. Cooking Through Cancer is by the cancer-fighting chef, Richard Lombardi. He shares the easy, nutritious recipes that got him through his own treatment. And French Laundry Per Se is by Thomas Keller, America's most beloved and decorated chef. French Laundry and Per Se are his 2-3 Michelin-starred restaurants, and you can cook now like they do in these incredibly acclaimed kitchens. And I'm going to end with some dessert. Baking at the 20th Century Cafe is from one of San Francisco's most talented pastry chefs. She shares 75 recipes and her secrets for modern spins on decadent baked goods. Skinny Southern Baking is from the creator of Skinny Southern, Emmy award-winning chef Larilyn Carter. She reinvents her favorite Southern cookies, pies, and more, but they are completely gluten-free, dairy-free, and refined sugar-free. And the Pie Academy is none of those things. This is from the critically acclaimed dean of the Pie Academy, Ken Heydrich. This is a masterclass in pie making, step-by-step photographic tutorials for perfect crusts, for 250 recipes of every pie you could ever imagine. Berry, fruit, nut, custard, and chiffon, cream pies, freezer pies, slab pies. It is endless and amazing. And that is it for me. Thank you so much. I hope you take care, and I appreciate you listening.
Hey everyone, my name is Caitlin Rubenstein, and I am here to bring you all the latest and greatest from Workman on the kids side. Some 2020 titles not to be missed. These are books that have published in the spring or early and late summer. So first one up is YA, Tigers Not Daughters by Samantha Mabry. Samantha Mabry is a powerhouse YA author. She is a queen of magical realism, and this book really does not disappoint. It follows 4 sisters, the Torres sisters. One of them, I'm not spoiling anything, dies in the first chapter. So it really follows the other 3 girls' journey to figure out what really happened, as well as really experiencing their grief, and each one grieves in a really different way. It's haunting, it's beautiful, it's complicated, it's messy, it's amazing. 6-star reviews. I feel like I don't even need to tell you that because it has 6-star reviews, so make sure that you pick this one up. Next is Middle Grade. Don't check out this book by Kate Kleiss and Sarah Kleiss. These are a sister duo, and this book is perfect for librarians. It follows a school librarian. It's an epistolary, so it's written in correspondences, letters, emails, text messages. Perfect for readers who are either interested in the graphic novel format and haven't started yet, or are super into the graphic novel format and are looking for something a little bit different. This follows a school and a town, Appleton Elementary, and they have the Green Dot collection, which you can see there's a green dot on the cover of that book. And that is different titles in a collection where kids can just walk in, take a book off the shelf. They don't have to check it out. They don't need to say anything. They can just take it, and they can spend as much time as they want with it, as long as they return it when they're done. And they're mostly challenged subjects. So I think, and themes. So this is something that is super timely, really wonderful, and perfect for your middle grade audience. Secondly, we are in the middle grade space. We have In the Role of Brie Hutchins. This one has 2 starred reviews by author Nicole Melleby. This is her second book with Algonquin Young Readers, and she'll have a third on the way. The first one was Hurricane Season. If you don't know that book, I highly recommend it. Hurricane Season by Nicole Melleby. It's amazing. This one follows Brie Hutchins. Brie is a soap opera loving girl who is in Catholic school and is starting to realize what her sexuality is, and she is starting to figure out that she is gay. So this book really follows her journey in coming out, and she comes out again and again and again, which many teens and adults, I'm sure, have experienced, as well as her relationship with her mother and her family, her father, her brother, and her relationship with her friends, going to a Catholic school, the nuns that teach her in that school, and how she feels in that space with her budding sexuality. Wonderful coming of age. Pick it up. Then we have nonfiction, everything you need to know to ace computer science and coding in one big fat notebook. This is the next installation in the middle school HIT study guide series. These are not fill-in notebooks. These are study aids. They're really great. And this one covers multiple coding languages, computer science topics, and everything is given to you in these wonderful tips and tricks, onomatopoetic ways, and sidebars. I think, you know, if anyone is interested in this subject matter, whether you're in middle school or not, this is for you. Next up in middle grade nonfiction, we had Who Got Game? Baseball. This is written by Newbery Honor winning author Derek Barnes. It has 2 starred reviews, and it covers amazing but true stories in America's favorite pastime, baseball. So whether you know a lot or you know a little, I do think that you will find something that you didn't know before between the pages of this book. Then we have The Screaming Hairy Armadillo, which sounds exactly what it is. It is a hilarious, really interesting, super informative book on the most wacky and weirdest named animals on our planet. So there's the sparkle muffin spider, there's the waxy tree frog, there's so many different ones. And at the end, there's a really fun animal name generator, which you can do on your own. Lastly, I have How to Be a Person. And How to Be a Person is really a fun book. I like to call it the book that every kid needs before they go to college. We're kind of starting them off really early in middle school. On the back, it says that it's hashtag pre-adulting, and I think that's fair too. So this book covers everything from watering the plants, doing the dishes, picking up that sock that's next to the hamper and putting it in the hamper, all of these wonderful things, and then heading into writing thank you notes and how to be a good host if you have a dinner party. And it's just little things along the road of life to teach kids how to be a conscious, respectful person in any space and environment. So I think a lot of people can use this book, whether you're in middle school or not. I know it's a favorite of ours, so definitely check it out. And then some recent publications. These are books that have just hit the shelves. If you go with your goat to vote, this is such a great book, and it's so timely. It's so important that we teach our young readers about voting, about the right to vote, and why it is so important to vote. And this book does that. So please be sure to pick it up. It's a beautiful picture book, and it's from The Experiment, rhyming really cute. Then we have The Constitution Decoded. This is for our middle school audience. This is also super timely and really important. This takes down and note and dives deep into the Constitution and what the Constitution is further than just the amendments. You know, we're really looking at the heart of the Constitution, how it works, how it doesn't work, how we need it to work, and how we can question it and continue to amend it as a nation. Then we have a wonderful series. These 2 books, book 1, Premeditated Myrtle, it's a tongue twister, and book 2, How to Get Away with Myrtle, both published on the same day. The first one garnered 2 starred reviews, and this is a really fun mystery series. It's a cozy mystery series, but for middle school readers. And I like to think of her as Victorian Harriet the Spy, if you will. You know, she's kind of inserting herself into things and then saving the day at the same time. So be sure to check that one out. On the YA side, we have Body Talk, which has 1-star review. Body Talk is the third in a series of nonfiction teen anthologies from Kelly Jensen. The first was Here We Are, which covers voices of feminism. Then Don't Call Me Crazy, which is mental health and mental health awareness. And now we have Body Talk, which covers everything from shape and size to disability to gender identity, body dysmorphia. It's so important. And, you know, each of these books has really opened the door to have conversations about these topics, whether they're happening or not. You know, I think a lot of the times they can be hard and difficult to have, but very important. Then we have Furia. Furia was the September 2020 Reese's YA Book Club pick. So excited about this one. If you haven't heard about it or read it, please shoot me an email. I'll give you my email at the end of the presentation. I can get you a NetGalley copy to review. So definitely put this one on your list. It follows a girl Camilla, who is in Argentina, and she is really restricted in her life, and she kind of leads this double life, one that she lives for her mother, brother, and her unfortunately abusive father at home, and then the one that she dreams to have as a rising soccer star and with a budding romance. So really, really wonderfully written, beautiful, beautiful book by Shamile. Lastly, we have The Scapegracers. The Scapegracers is from Erewhon Books. It is our brand new science fiction fantasy group. So if you are into science fiction and fantasy, please check out Erewhon Books. They have super awesome, amazing, interesting titles. And the first one is The Scapegracers for YA for my side. It has 2-star reviews, and it follows a super awesome lesbian named Sideways, and she is in this really collaborative coven. I like to think of it as the craft, but it's not negative at all. They're actually like all working together. There's no one really scary witch who's kind of mean within her group. So really great, uplifting female connections in that one. Brand new from Story, we have Busy Little Hands. It's a brand new series, and we're kicking it off with art play and food play. And these are just like what you see on the cover here on the interiors. There's beautiful photographs, really bright colors, just, you know, getting interactive with crafts and art and creativity and imagination, and then transferring that over then into your food, and actually playing with your food, which I think is really fun. You know, having fun with your food builds really strong relationships and healthy relationships with food from an early age. So these are really wonderful. Be sure to pick them up. Next is from Workman. This is a picture book, The ABCs of Black History. I cannot tell you more than I think I will be able to in this time frame, how much I love this book. It is so important. It is so beautiful. It's written by Rio Cortez, and it is a poem, and it's gorgeous. And actually, I wrote a line down to read to you because I think it's so great, because it is an ABC book, but every letter has multiple meanings. And I'm going to read you a line so that you understand what I mean. R is for rise, to reach for the top, relentlessly striving, refusing to stop. So you can see she uses R multiple times, and it's not just in the text and reinforcing the letter. There's also a timeline in the back. There's further information on the people, the places, and the events that you're going to see. People like Mae Jemison, W.E. Du Bois, Sam Cooke, The Little Rock Nine. It's just beautiful, and I've put some spreads here for you to see. So please check this out. This one's on NetGalley, and I'm happy to send it your way. So Embarrassing. This one's really fun because I think all of us can relate to something that was like, oh my God, so embarrassing at some point in our lives. And I definitely still, even as a grown adult, can vividly remember middle school memories where I'm like, oh God, like red in the face. So embarrassing. So embarrassing. You can see here is a comic style book. You can see a little inside page there where a girl has just missed the chair, and the entire school, she thinks and feels like, is laughing at her. So this is a book that really combines humor with scientific facts and tips and tricks on how to overcome that so embarrassing feeling. Really fun and really relatable. Oh, Skunk and Badger. We're not supposed to have favorites, but oh, Skunk and Badger. I love this book so much. This is from Newbery Honor winning author Amy Timberlake and Caldecott medalist John Klassen. It has 3-star reviews. It's just charming. Aunt Lula writes a letter, and this letter ends up having Skunk and Badger meet, and you see that moment here on the cover. I can't stop smiling. This book is so cute. And Skunk and Badger are the ultimate odd couple. Skunk is so excited, over the top, ready to do everything, and Badger is very muted and curmudgeon-y. Badger has some very important rock work that he does, and he's very concerned that Skunk is going to be continually getting in the way. There are quantum chickens. There's a rocket potato. I don't want to give too much away. It's so cute, but I will just share with you these spreads. So there are some full color tip-ins as well as black and white illustrations and chapter head art from John Klassen. And it just really gives this book life. From Amy's words onto an image. The chicken spread here, I laugh every time. I think it's so cute. So definitely pick this one up. It is destined to be a new classic on your shelf. Heading into high school. So we have the Big Fat Notebooks. We talked about coding earlier. We also have the Big Fat Notebooks, and they're coming into high school editions. So we have everything you need to ace chemistry and everything you need to ace geometry. Same format and principles and styles as the previous middle grade series, but we're just launching them and growing with our readers into high school. So you've got really great tips and tricks, facts and fun ways to keep information in your brain in a really accessible way. If you're looking to see more about these books, I have listed below on this slide. There are 2 links, one for chemistry, one for geometry, and you can download the sample chapter and table of contents for each once you go to those links. So if you're interested and want to see what the book is a little bit more, you can head on over there. Definitely pick these up though. I mean, chemistry, whew, if I had this when I took chemistry, would have been a different grade. Again, we have Erewhon books, our science fiction fantasy friends. So right here we have Rise of the Red Hand. Oh, Rise of the Red Hand, it's so good. It's so amazing. So this actually takes place on the South Asian province, and it is divided in this world, in this realm. There is the Uplanders, and the Uplanders are these really lavish and luxurious, very rich people who live in a climate-controlled biodome and are using some genetic therapy to remain young. And then there's the other side, which is a poor group of people, and they are working with black market robotics and cyborgs, and are living in a world where there is a rising water level, unbreathable air, and deadly bugs. I can't forget about the deadly bugs. Super, super divided world. And our heroine here on the cover teams up with a hacker who just so happens to be the son of a very prominent politician in the Uplanders, to really break down the barriers and save the day. So definitely check this one out. Really fun, really fast-paced, and just an awesome read. Next from Algonquin Young Readers, we have an anthology, Girlhood Teens Around the World. This is 30 teens from all across the country. I'm sorry, all across the world, not the country. And Masuma is a journalist, the author, and she has really put this together in a beautiful way, a way that you feel connected to the girls in the book. You feel like you really are experiencing them the way she has. There's a lot of information and stories about them, about their ordinary days from wherever they are, as well as photographs. And these photographs are from the teens themselves. What I really love about this book is that in this really wild virtual space that we're in, this is a way to connect to people on print. And I think that's really special right now. So this is one to keep on, and this is available on NetGalley. Foreshadow, this is my last book to share with you, and it's also an anthology for teens, but this one is a fiction anthology. It's 13 short stories, and Nova Rensuma and Emily XR Pan have joined together. They created a really great serial YA anthology on the web, and Algonquin Young Readers has picked it up to publish it for the first time in print, and that's what this is. Each of the brand new YA authors is introduced by a YA legend and powerhouse. Think Laura Hill Sanderson, Jason Reynolds, Nicola Yoon. So here we have, you know, them paired together, and each established author talks a little bit about the piece before you go into it. What's really, really great about it is that Emily and Nova have created craft pieces for this book. How do you start writing a book? What happens when you're stuck? What's the editing process like? Questions that, you know, aspiring writers have and want to know answers to. If you have anyone that you know in your lives or in your libraries that are looking for great YA or are looking for information on how to write, this is the book for them. It truly, as it says on the cover, celebrates the magic and reading of YA. So that's it for me. And here's all my information. If you need a galley, you want to connect, you have any information that I didn't share with you that you need to know, you can call me or you can email me. I also have 2 newsletters, Greetings from Workman's Library Land. That one is all Workman all the time. So a lot of what you've seen before from all of our wonderful imprints from birth to high school. And then I have a middle grade newsletter, all middle grade all the time. And I try to incorporate as much from all of our fantastic publishers as I can. You can also follow us on Instagram at Workman Library and follow me on Twitter. That's it for me. And thank you so much for having us. And I look